wondering about how much did they gather. Now, this is the picture. It's a dew. The dew turns into a wafer. Okay? If you've seen frost on the ground, you know what I'm talking about. It's what this looks like. It's like frost, but it's a wafer. And they were, each person was able to gather 3 pounds of bread. And they're to do this every day. You see, it required something of them. I'm going to provide it, but you got to go pick it up. Faith requires something. Go down a little bit further in verse 8. Moses also said, "You will know that it was the Lord when he gives you the meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard you grumbling against him." Well, what that told them is just grumble more. He heard you grumbling, and so he's going to feed you. Then he hears their grumbling and he's a little upset, but he goes ahead and deals with them. Verse 11 says, "The Lord said to Moses, I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God." Quail flew in and died. Covered the ground. They just go out there and pick it up. They didn't have to kill it. They just had to gather it. And they're still grumbling. And to say to you that, remember, God said, I'm doing this to test whether they will do what I'm asking them to do. Because he's going to ask them to do a whole lot more in the future. But this grumbling group of people don't get it right. Here's the case in point. Verse 20, it says, "However," you know you're in trouble when you get the however. "However, some of them paid no attention to Moses. They kept part of it until the morning." See, he said, "Wait, gather it for the day, eat it for the day, and get rid of what you don't eat. Throw it out." But they said, "Nah, we'll keep it for a midnight snack." Okay. They kept part of it until morning, but it was full of maggots and began to smell, so Moses was angry with them. They didn't throw it out, they kept it, and it, in the morning when they got ready to eat some more of it, it were nasty. Now somebody told me, or I saw the movie somewhere, that if you're really starving to death, you can eat maggots because they were protein. I'm telling you, I'm going to die. Amen? Amen? I'm going to die. I'm going to die, because I can't imagine, But he says, tell them this is a test, but they failed the test. Verse 35 says, "The Israelites ate manna 40 years until they came to the land that was settled. They ate manna until they reached the border of Canaan." That's a long time to eat manna. 40 years. But remember, the 40 years was only supposed to be 11 days. But because they wouldn't go into the promised land and possess it, God punished them. So 40 years they were on bread and water. 40 years. And through that whole period of time, they continued again and again and again to grumble against Moses and grumble against God. And in each time of their grumbling, they said, if we only had died in the wilderness, if we would only go back to Egypt. So you can imagine what we have to deal with when we start talking about the concept of God taking care of us. And remember, God was clear and said the whole thing is a test. I mean, what else would he have given them if they'd have passed the test? They kept hiding the manna, they kept rotting, they kept complaining about the quail. I mean, at some point, maybe God would have given them pizzas and tacos. I don't know. I don't know. But they never could get off of the pablum to find out what God could do for them. There's the promised land right there. And if you remember the story, the original story of Joshua and Caleb, they brought back grapes that were so big they had to carry them on a stick. And they said, the fruit is good. And they went, no, man, there's giants over there. We're going to get killed. They got towns and they're going to kill us. And babies. And the only 2 families that got to go in out of the 10 men that went to spy, Joshua and Caleb were the only. Everybody else died in the wilderness. They never matured to the place of having the faith to say, God can do this. Caleb's very words were, we can do this. But they spread a bad report throughout the congregation. And people said, we can't do that. And they became prophetic about their own existence because they said, we're going to die. And God went, yeah, you're right. You are, but it wasn't because of faith you're going to die. It's because of your lack of faith in me. So when Jesus starts talking about he is, go back over to John, and he says, in verse 35, Jesus declares, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. But as I have told you, you have seen me, and still you do not believe. Now he's talking to the apostles here. You've seen the things I do. You have eaten of the things that I have provided, and you still don't believe. And we're going to see that over and over and over again. And before we get too critical, let's understand something. That's us. We're exactly the same way. We move, we operate, and we think off of our senses. What we can see, what we can taste, and what we can touch. Oh, by the way, there's a very problem with Adam and Eve in the garden. It was good to look at. It was good for food. And it was good for knowledge. So they ate and they died. Because God said don't. So when you and I start looking about and we start thinking about taking in the nourishment that Jesus provides, when we start talking about that he meets all of our needs, are we mature enough to push past anything that's going on at the moment to push through to the place of saying God is still able?